manner, invite those of other realms to join them.
Clayton, you can use my pillow if you want.
I get down, I'll stay down. I apologize. No, I can't.
Pillows, please use our pillows.
Please, if anyone wants a pillow.
No, I need to get rid of them. I can see around him.
Not mad about it. Sit back down for a second. I mean,
You got room?
Sarpedon, are you ready to answer our question? Oz, hurry up.
this is Chivalry.
Please come forward.
Now comes Sarpedon, first maiden, Myrmidon citizen, who sailed under way for a score, and vigilant for the order of the Chivalry.
I've come to answer your question, Your Majesty. I have taken vigil. I have reached out to the learned people of all three kingdoms that I have lived in and had the honor and pleasure of serving. I have taken counsel with the peers of every kingdom represented here. Artemisia, Trimaris, Meridiae, the West, Caid, Aidenfeld, Antir, and the Outlands. I answer your question in the affirmative. It has been and remains my desire to join this order.
Then approach and kneel before the crowns of Antir.
A knight is sworn to valor. Who here can speak to this man's valor?
Your Majesty, I will. I'm Viscountess Larissa de Griffin from Caid, and I've known Sarpedon ever since he was Sarpedon here in Caid. So I researched valor. I asked many knights from many kingdoms. I asked many ladies from around the known world. I'm going to make this short. Check.
His heart knows.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your Majesty.
Please, go ahead.
I am Sir Rorik Skogan, the West. Known Sarpedon 20 years almost. I was asked to speak on valor, and I'll say it actually has been incredibly hard for me to think about it over the last several days. Not because I couldn't come up with instances, but because it is so obvious that it was hard to feel like it needed a witness. So what I would speak of rather than a moment is the path of knighthood. It's the advice I was given by Duke Cadet Bender of the West. The path of knighthood is a path of constant failure. So you wake up, or you go to bed every night realizing and asking yourself the question, did I serve my king and kingdom to the utmost of my ability, always knowing that the answer would be no. But you wake up every morning with the courage to try again. That's the man you have in front of you.
His heart knows only virtue. Who here would speak to his virtue?
I will speak for this man's heart. I am Jamal Damian Marcus. Known this man when he lived here, when he was Sarpedon. But Sarpedon, I'm to speak of your worthiness to becoming a peer. What comes to mind is my chivalric code. First, courage. Then justice. Then mercy, faith, generosity, nobility, hope, and lastly, prowess. Each of these concepts is important in itself, and every one of these virtues is an admirable quality. But when all of them blend together into one person, we discover the value, the power of chivalry. Peers should strive to keep these virtues alive in their own heart. But perhaps more importantly, they should work to bring these wonderful qualities out in the people they see every day. A person who brings lives by the code of, or a person who lives by the code of chivalry in today's world allows everyone to see their best qualities reflected in his own shining armor. Your Majesty, this candidate is now and forever have been my peer.
His blade defends the helpless. Who here can speak to his blade?
Your Majesties, I, Kendrick, Prince of the West, will to speak for this man's valor. Or sorry, his blade to defend the helpless. And I cannot speak of it in a ceremonial term. So perhaps may I tell a story of this man's virtue of this on the field. Last year, at this very same morn, this man's baron quested him to go down and defend your princess of the summits. And not one blade, not one arrow, not one spear, not one shield wall touched her highness while she stood the field of honor. Because of this man fighting against his own troops, because he gave his word that he was going to defend her. This man is absolutely my peer.
His might holds up the weak. Who can speak to his might?
I will speak to his might. I am Duke Wilhelm, Scholar Grimson of Caid. You may know him as Sarpedon. We knew him as Shingo-san. His might is immeasurable. This man is not he is my brother. There is nobody else that I would rather have next to me. I would trust my life to him. I would trust my family's life to him. You cannot have a better man kneeling in front of you. I can't say enough to him. I'm so proud of him.
I am Decimus Marius Gavinus Equus of Ontir. I met this man some 5-6 years ago when he returned to Ontir again, and was immediately impressed with his prowess. His ability in combat was phenomenal, but more so was his willingness and almost drive to just teach everyone everything. He showed up to every practice with extra equipment out of his own armory to help armor new people. He would show up to every newcomers event with extra equipment to teach and take time out of his own training to teach new people how to fight and play in this game. Moreover, another story that reminds me of your willingness to protect the weak was at a war in Glimir when a gentleman fell and broke his leg. And this gentleman was the one who saw what happened and immediately called the hold and stopped his entire war to help wrangle people to help that man. This man has been my peer a very long time. Could not have chosen a better man. Thank you, Your Majesty.
This man's word speaks only truth. Who would speak for this man's word?
I will. I'm Duchess Shemaine of Caid, Your Majesties, I feel it important that since you've only had this man in your realm on and off for years, I've actually known him since day one. This man came to a local fighter practice and was looking to get in armor and fight. My former king, Dirk, and I recognized this, and we pulled him in from day one. So, there's a lot of history there. I have watched this man make promises to a king that is no longer with us as not only an auxiliary to him in the Myrmidons, but to aspire to him as well. And he fulfilled both of those. Then, he has a new knight who advocated for him from a second kingdom, and he navigated those cultures and fulfilled promises to him in this lineage as well as fulfilling promises to you and your kingdom and navigating those cultures. So, throughout the years, this man has been a part of my life in many different ways, and one of them is that he was the captain of my guard during the Second Reign. I will tell you stories of where he failed his word, but it was acceptable, and while you will know how I've come to love him even more, and he is not a champion in my eyes, but a hero. The first was he was to attend to me at that war in Astrea as queen and the captain of my guard, and he could not and was not there. The second is when he was to stand up in my wedding as the prettiest bridesmaid ever, and at the last minute could not. But here's why. Because from the depths of the sea, Poseidon called for a meeting with landwalkers. And in the mundane world, the United States Navy saw it fit to send this man to the bottom of the sea to have that meeting. And those are the only reasons that he did not fulfill his promises and his word to me and to other people when he had previously said that he would be there, because if you care, be there. So, this man's word is his bond, and here, 17 years later, he has fulfilled an exceptionally long journey that has transcended multiple continents and multiple kingdoms in order to get to this moment. Thank you very much.
His wrath undoes the wicked. Who shall speak to his wrath?
I shall, your majesties. When I was a young lad fighting my first war, I got wounded on the battlefield. And here comes 6 of the biggest men I've ever seen in my life coming to murder me. And as their blow was about to fall, Sarpedon put his shield out and blocked it, and at the same time killed 1, 2, 3, maybe more. And by the time he had slain these men, the rest of them turned and ran as fast as they could, with Sarpedon hot on their heels. And that is my story of Sarpedon and his wrath.
Too often words are wind, but here today we have heard naught but iron in the voices of those who speak on your behalf. We, Octomasade's Sable Lion, are resolved to name thee knight.
We also are well pleased with the testimony. If it remains your desire, we, Ashaxi, Sable Lioness, are resolved to name thee knight. Will you accept from us this honor and swear fealty to the crown of the kingdom of Ontir?
Yes, your majesty.
Are you bound in fealty to another?
I am.
To whom are you in fealty?
I am bound to fealty to Viscount Rorik Skogan of the Mist, my knight.
Let Viscount Rorik Skogan of the Mist present himself before their majesties of Ontir. Sir, will you release this candidate from his fealty?
With a heavy heart. I release you from your bonds to me with a heavy but joyous heart. I give you a free man. To your majesty for your consideration.
Sarpedon returns to you, Rorik. The belt you girded me with, deepened in color with the blood of service. Thank you.
On what symbol will you swear your oath to fealty?
I request the sword of Antir.
Here do I swear fealty to Octamasades
Here do I swear fealty to Octamasades and Ashaxi, my undoubted sovereigns, that I will obey their lawful commands in all matters that concern this realm, and uphold the crown and kingdom of Antir.
And we for our part,
swear fealty to you
and your household, for
to protect and defend them,
your household with all our power,
as long as we remain sovereigns of Antir. So say we, Octamasades, King Antir.
So say we, Ashaxi, Queen Antir.
The symbols of chivalry are threefold: a white belt, spurs, and a golden chain. The sable lions bid the regalia for this vigilant be brought forth.
Stand vigilant and learn the histories of the relics to which you are heir. Stand vigilant and learn the histories of the relics that you are heir.
Your Majesties, I have a chain for this man that has a long history. May I address the populace? Bearers of the chain. In the early years of the Kingdom of the West, the chains of fealty were stored in a box behind the thrones. And as a trusted knight of the realm, you could show up and borrow one for the event. As time went on, some folk wanted to actually have their own personal chain. And Duke William spent a small sum and purchased one from a local hardware store. This particular chain he gave to his son Christopher after he was knighted. The chain was then gifted to Duke Radnor on the occasion of his first coronation. Earl Thomas was the first to be knighted with the chain, and it has been associated with the House of Gildemar ever since. The lineage is recounted as the chain is passed to the next bearer. The wearer of the chain knows that it is destined to be passed on to the next knight of the ermine, and occasionally a few special friends whom we choose to include in our knightly tradition. Thus I recount the verbal legacy as it has been passed to me, and the names of those who have borne the chain, so that they may be known to future bearers. Apologies for any mistakes. This is from the writings of Sir Richard of Aldertree. Duke William of Houghton, Earl Christopher of Houghton, Duke Radnar of Gildemar, Earl Thomas the Incomplete, Viscount Sagan von Ostensee, Viscount Leon von Schrecken, Artemis Maximus, Earl Philip Harlech of Exeter, James Gale McTire, Duke Jade of Starfall, Viscount Richard of Aldertree, Viscount Alfred of Carlisle, Viscount Richard of Greyfall, Viscount Mininan Nanovich, Duke Christopher of York, Brian of Bellatrix, Duke Uther Sherman de Hunt, Duke Maynard von dem Stein, Gaston du Clermont, Duke Reinmar Wolfmare, Duke Titus Scipio Germanicus, Duke Dietrich Ivanich, Viscount Leotoff of the Silver Hills, Duchess Bryn McKellen, Viscount Rorik Skogan, Viscount Evander Gunnarsson, Thaddeus Blaney, Viscount Sigifrid Hockmere, Fernando Miguel de Valencia, Theridic Batmalvi, Viscount Lloyd Sherman Derkline, Eric Haradi, Jarl Miles Fitzrolf, Leif Utherson, Bjarn Hidden Hammerson, Duke Alfar Utherson, Akmir Ibn Tamim, Tiberius Panaris Barrio, Ori Vigilson, Marek Vicalago, Viscount Thomas Eagleson, David Bucket, Roland von Steinhaus, Nab Dob Ibn Ali, Titus Octavius Novellus Singinius, and Sir Wolfgrim of Aidenveld. Your Majesties, I give you the chain of champions.
Majesty, I beg of you,
I have another chain. For Sarpedon. Sarpedon. Then just please. This is the Lion's Den chain. The Lion's Den chain was made by Viscount Ulfgar and given to Nestor the Horsebreaker. Nestor decided this chain should be passed to each member of the Lion's Den upon their elevation. At this last Potrero, this chain was worn by Sir Oberon, then by Sir Scala-Grim. It was then presented to me, Sir Dalvin Canar McCallan. I now present it to you. Upon the links are our names. I have struck upon a link your name, Sarpedon. Please wear this of honor and pass upon the next member of the Lion's Den upon their elevation.
Take this chain and let it remind you of the weight of fealty that you swear this day. This is a mighty chain.
Let Sir Ethelred the Youth recount the history of the candidate's spurs.
These spurs have served me for 42 years, and I pass them on now. It is a great honor for me to see this man wear them. Their lineage has begun with me, it will continue with you, and with you into the future. I can't be more proud to see you wearing them.
Let Viscount Ulfgar share the history of the candidate's belt.
I'm Viscount Ulfgar Thorvaldson, Master of the Order of the Falcon also. This is my belt. Its lineage just starts with me. It's seen many glorious things, and I hope that it sees many more glorious things around your waist.
Let the candidate rise and be girded with the white belt.
With which sword shall you make your oath?
The sword of a simple soldier.
Bring forth Sarpedon's sword.
I, Sarpedon Egineta, called Dircetes, claim as mine own the old code. I am sworn to valor. My heart will know only virtue. My blade will defend the helpless. My might will uphold the weak. My word will speak only truth. My wrath will undo the wicked. Call when you need of me. Ask what you will of me. My sword, my service are yours.
With what sword shall you be dubbed?
I request the sword of Antir.
We dub thee once. We dub thee twice. We dub thee Knight of Antir. Stand, Knight of the Old Code. We are proud and moved to elevate you. Let this buffet remind you who made you knight.
And let this be the last blow that you receive unanswered.
Go to your peers. Thank you, Knights of the SCA.
We have 2 more orders of business. Let's go ahead and
Take it to the back.
Take it to the back, gentlemen and ladies.
In times of isolation.